They really do not like Zohran Mamdani as the mayor of New York, Jen, do they?
No, they do not. And apparently there was a bevy of activity outside of Gracie Mansion a couple of days ago. And I have some questions as to the origins of said ruckus.
Shall we do clip or story first?
Well, I think the story is better to go first in this one.
Colin, pull the story, please. And Jen, you will do the honors, please.
You want me to read?
I think you can.
I can. I mean, I can read.
If you would like.
I learned a long time ago how to read.
No. Colin. And you guys understand why I give him shit. It's not because I don't like the guy. I love the guy. But hey, business. We're not saving Colin from shit. The article about the bombing at Gracie Mansion, or the attempted one, pipe bomb, some bomb, dumb bomb.
Okay, homemade. All right, so this is right out of the mayor's administration. Don't mind the thunder. I have an open window. Out of Mamdani's administration, homemade bomb thrown at protest near New York City mayor's house, police say. Okay, again, so as somebody who's very aware of propaganda, always recognize when your source is the police. Police say. Okay.
Jen, the police would never lie. Don't you know that?
The counter-protester accused of throwing the bomb was one of 6 people arrested after a clash with anti-Muslim protesters led by the right-wing activist Jake Lang.
Can we put
what the hell is with this guy? Why have we? Where is he come? Like, I feel like the past couple of months, all I hear about is this guy. Who the hell is this?
So Jake Lang, who's probably a Fed as well.
January 6th.
Well, no, he was the guy. Well, yes, he was part of J6, but he was also the guy that showed up in Minneapolis trying to start like a race war. And then he ended up getting completely like bum rushed by a handful of people. And then you had that one black guy who was standing and defending him.
Right. Okay. And then wasn't he also, he was somewhere and he was like kicking down an abolish ICE sculpture.
Yes.
And it was like hard for him to even get it knocked over. Is this the same pathetic loser?
I think it is.
Okay. At least one counter-protester threw a homemade bomb on Saturday during a violent clash with far-right protesters outside Gracie Mansion in Manhattan, the police commissioner Tisch said on Sunday.
Well, you have to already take that with a grain of salt.
Well, again, which is exactly preliminary analysis of the device by the police department's bomb squad found that it was not a hoax device or a smoke bomb, but an improvised explosive device that could have caused serious injury or death. Amir Balat, 18, the counter-protester accused of throwing that device and another smoking projectile, and Ibrahim Nick, 19, who is accused of supplying one of them, were arrested on Saturday. The police said no explosions or injuries from the devices were reported. Charges against Mr. Balat of Langhorne, Pennsylvania, and Mr. Nick of Newton, Pennsylvania, had not been determined as of Sunday, the police said. Officers also arrested 4 other people, including Ian McGinnis of Philadelphia, who pepper sprayed the counter-protesters, charged with reckless endangerment. The turbulent scene in one of New York City's swankiest neighborhoods began with a plan by the far-right provocateur Jake Lang for a Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City demonstration near Gracie, the Upper East Side home of New York's first Muslim mayor, Zohran Mamdani. So he actually, they're putting out this like whole Muslim takeover of the city thing still. Are they going to, are they forcing halal? I mean, like, what does that mean? Mr. Lang showed up with a goat and about a goat. I told you guys, all problems start with a goat. I shit you not. Every effed up story there's a goat and about 20 followers who were wearing American flag hats and freedom sweatshirts, echoing the slogan on a shirt worn by the slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Exactly. I think she was supposedly demoted, but she wasn't. There was just somebody put in between her and him. But As the day wore on and the crowd of protesters shouting at Mr. Lang grew to more than 100, tensions swelled. One of his fellow protesters sprayed mace at a group of counter-protesters, sending some doubling over in tears. Fistfights broke out among the crowd, and raw eggs flew in the air. This sounds like almost like a party. Then a counter-protester threw 2 smoking objects, one of which landed on East 87th Street in flames, prompting protesters to run for cover. This is crazy. At least one of the devices was made from a jug that contained a sports drink bottle filled with explosive material, as well as bolts and screws and a hobby fuse. That sounds like a nursery rhyme. Bolts and screws and a hobby fuse. According to a senior law enforcement official who was briefed on the matter, but was not authorized to discuss a continuing investigation. So then what's his purpose? Why were you briefed if you're not able to discuss? What is your purpose? Why do you get a paycheck? Why do you live there? The FBI's New York office later said it recovered 2 suspicious objects from Gracie Mansion during the protest, and that its Joint Counterterrorism Division was investigating the matter alongside the police. Ms. Tisch said on Sunday the police were working with the FBI to further analysis. The mayor and his wife, Rama DODGES, she's lovely, were not at home at the time of the protest. Okay, this is good, blah, blah, blah. And the attempt to use the explosive. Okay, so here's the problem I have with this. All right, we can be done with this, Colin, and this is why. This is the only people reporting this come out of the police department. So I already kind of don't believe the story to begin with. You have to, anything that's put out by, I hate using the term law enforcement because let's be real. But that's not necessarily accurate. But I do appreciate that they're trying really hard to create such a problem because of the Muslim takeover of New York.
Here's what actually went down, courtesy of our friends at Status Coup.
That's a juicy. Make America great again. Yeah. Look at that.
So, crispy guys, please help yourself.
No, not yet. When we get over to the mansion. Oh, okay. Not yet.
That's so rude. That's so fucking rude, you disrespectful pig. And I'm not talking to the roasted animal that is sitting there. Okay. That's just so disrespectful. This is someone who really needs an ass kicking of gargantuan proportions. This is someone who needs to like mouth off to like Anthony or Greg Stoker or someone like that. That's what I would like to see happen. Well, because this guy is disrespectful as fuck.
And he's got a Nazi haircut, like a legitimate Nazi haircut. Like that's how he cuts his hair. So, shocker.
It's edible though. Oh, it's great. Oh, you guys gone. Free the coast! Free the coast! Back up! Don't do that, bro. We ain't throw shit. I got 2 of them.
Question is, who dropped it?
You know, I was just going to say, man, I see people in the chat talking about Tish, and it's true because, you know, the fact that she's still in his administration and that's the spokespeople that are putting out the statement from his administration, it's disturbing to me. It's disturbing to me. And it's not like a selling point for him right now.
There's probably somebody in his orbit that basically told him you can't get rid of her. That's probably what was told. Said, I know you want to get rid of her. I know you want her out, but she's basically untouchable. Like you can't do it. At least not yet. That's not to say that he won't at a later date attempt to. But for me, Mamdani gets more than a passing grade for what he's done so far as mayor. Right.
I agree policy-wise, but he is still allowing Empire to basically have its tentacles controlling the narrative, controlling what his administration is doing, and certainly controlling what the police are doing.
He also needs to be in a position where he can absolutely put Hochul in a box where she can't do shit. He's not there yet, but he is without question much more powerful than the governor of the entire state by grassroots power. That may not be enough yet to supplant her in terms of actually executing policy. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I like the way he's moving and the fact that, again, he's the mayor of New York fucking City. I mean,
all right, so you can give him the benefit of the doubt, and he's playing somewhat of a long game in terms of what he needs to do as far as Kathy Hochul. But what I'm saying is the fact that he kept Tish on is problematic.
But I don't agree with you. You see, that's where the rubber meets the road. I think he wants to get rid of her, but I think there are people around him that have said you can't get rid of her. Like,
it doesn't matter what the reason is. She is still inside the house.
Yeah.
The spook is in the house. And that is who is putting out this information. So that to me affects the credibility of what's coming out of his office regarding this particular situation.
But remember that timing is everything, because, and again, I see this in the inverse, because remember, LBJ did not remove RFK as the attorney general immediately. It didn't come until the spring of 64 or summer of 64. So he was still there for a little while before RFK ultimately decided to run for senator of New York. But at the time, if he had just removed, RFK in, let's say, December of 63, it would have looked really bad. So I'd like to think that Zohran is biding his time right now. That's my
look. I appreciate your optimism and your very half glass half full approach to this. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt. You're giving him grace. I ran out of grace a few years ago is the problem. So for me, I sort of anticipate that he's basically with them, and I'll be happy to be proven incorrect. Like, I'll be pleasantly surprised to be proven incorrect, but yeah.
The one thing I do want to say here, which I think is important, who in the F is Jake Lang that he's able to get barricades up in New York for them to do this march?
Hence why it's an inside situation.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think you're wrong. I think it's very plausible.
And it all comes down to the goat, people. I'm telling you, this is why, Rachel, this is why there's never going to be goats. All problems. I'm telling you, there's a goat involved in the story somewhere. I'm telling you.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And because of leaders like Zohran, we get that much closer. Could you imagine if Mayor Adams was still in charge of New York City? Could you imagine if Cuomo was in charge in New York City?
Well, you wouldn't have had a goat. I mean, you wouldn't have had a goat parading through.
Probably not. To better days.